It has been over 8 years since the Helix came out, and I think it's worth asking the questions, is this modeler outdated? Should you buy one? And is the Helix right for you? Now, over the last 8 years, I've owned 3 different Helixes, and I've always really loved the Helix ecosystem. But of course, there's more that you're gonna need to know before you make an informed decision. So let's dive in. So first and foremost, how does the Helix sound? As somebody that has had experience with the Kemper Profiler, the Tonex, and the Helix, I think the Helix sounds amazing. And in my opinion, there is no doubt in my mind why the Helix has been the best-selling modeler year after year since it has come out. Now, admittedly, I do feel like my Kemper and my Tonex have better overall amp feel and response than the Helix. However, I also think these are fundamentally different units. And what I mean by that is that the Kemper and the Tonex are going to have profiles or captures of real amps, whereas the Helix is going to be a computer or a processor emulating the way that it thinks an amp will respond and feel in a live scenario with given microphone placements. And because of that, I think these are gonna be 2 entirely different units, and I think that the Helix sounds fantastic, plays really well, and can be manipulated and controlled a lot more than those other units because it's an actual modeler. Now, honestly, I feel like the Line 6 Helix has some of the most immersive and some of the best effects that are available on the market today. I feel like Line 6 has done a really spectacular job creating something that feels immersive and luscious with a ton of space, especially in their wet effects. For me personally, is I do feel like some of the dry effects for the Helix ecosystem feel a little digital. They have a certain high range fidelity to them that I've never really noticed in a live mix, but I've definitely noticed when I've played by myself. And I think some of that is specific to those types of effects and the way that those types of effects like compression, overdrive, and distortion respond to an amplifier. And since the Helix is going to be a modeler, emulating the way that it thinks a real amp will sound, I think some of those effects kind of struggle to get a realistic feel and response as compared to something like the Kemper or a traditional pedal board and amp setup. And other than that, I feel like the Helix has really spectacular effects. And as somebody that has used the Kemper as an all-in-one unit and now using the Helix as an all-in-one unit, I do feel like Helix has better overall effects, and having the ability to have the expression pedal, wah, or volume all built into your signal chain, or be able to use it as a boost, or even the ability to use snapshots gives you a ton of flexibility with the Helix system. Watching this far in the video, please subscribe to the channel. It lets me know what content people enjoy, and that way I can make more of it for you all in the future. In my opinion, this is the #1 reason that people switch to the Helix ecosystem, and I also think this is why this unit has been so successful in the past. The Helix is not only super fun to use, but I think the overall interface, the menus, the really colorful display make this something that's super easy to latch onto. And no matter your experience, whether it is with a digital amp or a traditional pedal board and amp setup, I think you're gonna find that the Helix is super engaging and fun to use. Plus, I think Line 6 has done a really amazing job making a unit that is accessible no matter your budget. In this case, they have created the Helix, they've created the Helix LT, they've created the Pod Go, the HX Stomp, they've created a plethora of other options out there. So no matter your price point, you can get introduced into the HX lineup. And I also think that the Line 6 ecosystem has some of the best editing software out there. The fact that you have the HX Edit app makes it super easy to go in and manipulate your different presets and upload IRs into your Helix, and without having to do a whole lot of extra work. In this case, one really cool thing about the Helix ecosystem is when you upload an IR, it will automatically match it to the specific preset based off of that name. Now, one final point in terms of the overall user experience is that I think the Helix has one of the best all-in-one effects units that's available today. Not only does the Helix give you about everything that you could ever want from a firmware perspective, but you also have everything you could need from a hardware perspective. You have the ability to route multiple effects to the expression pedal. You can use wah or volume, and your signal chain is very clearly and easily laid out, which makes it super easy to dive in, manipulate, and control your different presets without feeling super overwhelmed. Now, lastly, in today's day and age, I feel like it's worth pointing out that you truly cannot go wrong when it comes to a modeler or a profiler. And in my opinion, you really just have to find what you like. And they're all fantastic, and they're all just different tools that we can embrace and use as guitarists. The difference is just largely going to be how you achieve those amazing tones. Do you want to spend a ton of time tweaking and menu diving, or do you largely want a unit that just feels familiar and easy to use without a ton of tweaking? In this case, I think that will largely depend on the route you want to go for any digital amp or model. I've got a few other points that I feel like are worth noting for the Helix and are good to know when making a purchasing decision. And one specific thing that may be a little silly but matters for someone like me, and I feel like matters for other people, is going to be something like the Helix backpack. This is so underrated and is seriously worth calling out because it is a spectacular backpack and makes it very easy to just grab your Helix and go to a gig along with everything else that you could possibly need for a live show. And the reason I feel like this is so important because it shows me that Line 6 is truly committed to the user experience and ultimately the end user and how they're going to interact with their hardware. And speaking to the overall user experience, as somebody that first owned the Helix 8 years ago when it first came out, versus now, the overall community, the available presets, the aftermarket presets that you can purchase have come a super long way. And the community has really grown. And I think because of that, it also makes it really attractive for somebody that's looking to just get into that space as well. And if you're not somebody that enjoys spending a ton of time dialing in your own presets, there's so many different aftermarket companies out there. And if you are still not convinced on which digital unit you should buy, check out this video right here on the Helix versus the Kemper Profiler.